It started with a splash. Literally. A large cup of soda flew across the counter. Ice scattering like hailstones. Syrup dripping down the register. The whole place went silent. Could you imagine? A grown woman, in broad daylight, throwing a drink at a teenager working minimum wage just because her fries were too cold. The worker, Maria, froze, her hands still clutching the paper bag she had just passed across. Her jaw trembled. A hush fell over the line of customers, broken only by the dripping soda and the buzz of the fluorescent lights. Someone gasped. Someone else whispered, "No way, did that just happen?" Karen stood there, her arms crossed, her face flushed red like a warning sign. She smirked as if she'd won some twisted prize. "Maybe next time you'll do your job right," she barked. That was it. That was the line that flipped the whole script. Because Maria, shy, quiet, barely 18, wasn't alone. Behind her, in the kitchen, stood Marcus, the night manager. And Marcus, he wasn't just some pushover in a polo shirt. No, he was a man who had worked these jobs for years, seen every flavor of cruelty customers could dish out. And this was the moment he decided enough was enough. "Ma'am," he said firmly, stepping forward. "That's assault." Karen blinked, caught off guard. The confidence wavered for just a flicker. "Excuse me, it's just a drink. Don't be so dramatic." But Marcus didn't flinch. He glanced at Maria, then at the sticky counter, then back at Karen. "No, it's not just a drink. You threw something at my staff. You humiliated her. And you did it in front of a room full of witnesses." The crowd shifted. Phones rose. Cameras clicked open with little pops. You could feel it. Tension thick in the air. The tide turning. The narrative about to flip right in Karen's face. She didn't even notice the man at the corner booth, already live streaming to Facebook, whispering, "Y'all, this is about to get real." Karen scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Please, what are you gonna do? Call the cops? Over a drink?" She laughed, high-pitched and sharp, trying to gather her authority back. Marcus's voice dropped lower, steadier. "That's exactly what I'm gonna do." Gasped. Maria's lips parted. Someone muttered, "Oh, snap." And here's the twist. Just as Karen turned to storm out, a sharp voice from the back cut through. "Don't let her leave." Everyone spun. It was a customer. A young man in scrubs, badge clipped to his shirt. "I'm an EMT. I saw everything. She needs to be held accountable." Karen whipped around, hair flying like a whip. "Are you serious? You can't stop me." But she didn't know. Another customer had already stepped in front of the door. A mom with 2 kids tugging at her sleeves, shaking her head. "No way, lady. You don't get to just walk out after that." For the first time, you saw it. The flicker of panic in Karen's eyes. Her lips pursed. Her fingers twitched. She tried to speak. But the room was no longer hers. The power had shifted. Marcus calmly dialed. "Yes, officer. We have a customer who just assaulted one of our employees." His words sliced through the silence. The cameras stayed up. The whispers grew. And Karen, she started unraveling. "This is ridiculous. You people are all crazy. It's a soda. A drink. Nobody got hurt." But Maria, voice trembling, finally spoke. "I did." Everyone turned to her. The quiet girl found her voice. "You scared me. You embarrassed me. You thought it was funny, but it wasn't." Her chest rose and fell, her eyes glassy but fierce, and the crowd clapped. Light, scattered at first, then louder, a ripple of solidarity. Karen flushed even deeper, her arms crossing tighter, her smirk now a grimace. Minutes later, sirens, blue and red lights flashing against the greasy windows. The door opened and in walked two officers. The restaurant fell into complete silence except for the hum of the fryer. "Who's the suspect?" the taller officer asked. Every finger in the room pointed at Karen. Her jaw dropped. "What? No. This is insane. You're under arrest for assault," the officer said. Matter of fact. Handcuffs clicked. That sound, the cold, metallic snap, echoed louder than anything else in that moment. Karen's bravado shattered. "Wait. No. This is a mistake. She's lying. I didn't." But the officer silenced her. "Ma'am, we have multiple witnesses. And plenty of video." Phones rose higher. The live streamer whispered gleefully, "Y'all, she's getting cuffed. It's happening." Karen's eyes darted around, searching for an ally. But there were none. Not tonight. Every face stared back at her with equal parts disbelief and satisfaction. Could you blame them? After all the Karens they'd seen in their lives, here was one finally facing real consequences. As the officers led her out, the EMT muttered under his breath, "Bet she won't try that again." The mom by the door added, "Good riddance." Maria just exhaled, her shoulders shaking, relief flooding her like a tidal wave. But oh, the story didn't end there. No, because by morning, the video was everywhere. TikTok, Twitter, Facebook Reels. Millions of views overnight. Headlines screamed, "Woman arrested for throwing soda at fast food worker." And the comments, "Savage. That poor girl. She got what she deserved." Finally, karma served fresh. Karen became a meme, her mugshot plastered across feeds, captioned with lines like, "Would you like cuffs with that?" The internet ate it up. And restaurants, they noticed. One by one, fast food chains announced bans. "This individual will not be served at our locations." Big, bold statements. She wasn't just arrested. She was exiled. Imagine that. Not being allowed in a single drive-thru in town. And you know what cut deepest? Her own daughter. Yes. A twist nobody saw coming. Went online and wrote a post. "I'm embarrassed. That worker didn't deserve it. My mom has a temper and I hope she learns from this." Brutal. Public. Honest. And it went viral too. Karen's carefully crafted image of being a pillar of the community crumbled overnight. The neighborhood gossiped. Her friends avoided her. Even the PDA quietly asked her not to come back. And Maria. She became the quiet hero. Her bravery in speaking up, in not letting herself be diminished, inspired thousands. She received messages from strangers saying, "Thank you for standing strong." And "My daughter works fast food. You gave her courage." The franchise even gave her a raise and a scholarship fund started in her name. Can you believe that? One cruel act flipped into something powerful. Karen, meanwhile, sat at home, banned, humiliated, cuffed in the public eye, and the echo of that one night haunted her everywhere. She couldn't even order a burger without whispers, couldn't walk into a grocery store without side eyes. The taste of soda, her weapon of choice, now bitter in her own memory. And the worst sting, the workers she thought beneath her. They had the last laugh. Marcus hung a sign on the counter a week later. "Respect is free. Disrespect costs everything." Customers smiled, snapped photos, shared it online. Viral again. Karen faded. Maria rose. The world remembered the splash, the arrest, the clapback, and everyone who had ever been mistreated in a job like that. They felt a little vindicated. So, was it just a drink? Or was it the moment the world finally said, "Enough"? Because sometimes karma doesn't come slow. It arrives loud, messy and sticky, dripping right off a counter in front of everyone. The sirens wailed before the chaos even started. A silver SUV swerved down the quiet suburban street. tires screeching so loud they echoed off the manicured driveways. And in the middle of it all, Karen stood, arms flailing, voice shrill like broken glass. She wasn't the victim she pretended to be. Oh no. She was about to turn a crime into her personal battlefield, and the results would be catastrophic. Help! Help! They stole my car. She screamed, stumbling into the road like she owned the entire neighborhood. People came running out of their homes. Neighbors, joggers, even a kid still holding a basketball. But there was something off about the scene. The SUV wasn't hers. Not even close. Karen, that's not your car, muttered Mrs. Lopez from across the street, clutching her robe tight. That's the Hendersons' vehicle. Karen snapped her head around, eyes blazing. Don't you dare correct me in public. I know what I saw. That was my car. Don't you gaslight me. A hush fell. You could almost hear the wind rustling the leaves overhead. People exchanged looks, half pity, half fear, because when Karen spiraled, it was like watching a tornado pick targets at random. Then came the twist. 2 real robbers, masked, nervous, desperate, bolted from the SUV, leaving it idling crooked in the middle of the road. One dropped a crowbar with a clank. The other muttered, "We're screwed, man. Let's go," and darted into an alley. The crowd gasped. The air crackled. And that's when Officer Daniels pulled up. Lights flashing, engine roaring like a beast. He slammed the cruiser into park and jumped out, hand steady on his holster, voice commanding, "Everyone back. Get inside your homes." His tone sliced through the panic. People listened. Everyone, except Karen. "Oh, thank God, officer," Karen cried, rushing forward. "Arrest them. Arrest them right now. They stole my property." Daniels frowned. "Ma'am, calm down. Whose vehicle is this?" "Mine," she screeched, stabbing a finger at the SUV like it had personally insulted her. "They dared touch my car." From the porch, Mr. Henderson shouted, exasperated. "It's ours, officer. That's our SUV. Those guys tried to steal it." Karen froze, lips twitching. She shot him a death glare. "You liar. You've always envied me. That car is mine." A murmur swept the crowd. Was she really doubling down right here? Right now? Daniels stepped between them, patience thinning. "Ma'am, step back. This is an active crime scene." But Karen. Oh, Karen. She saw red. She puffed up like a cornered animal, her voice cracking with rage. "Don't you dare tell me what to do. I pay taxes. I know my rights." And then it happened. The moment that changed everything. The officer turned slightly to radio backup. Just for a second. Karen lunged, nails out, shoving him hard in the chest. "Don't you ignore me," she shrieked. The gasp from the neighbors was deafening. Daniels stumbled, caught himself and stared at her like she'd just signed her own prison sentence. "Ma'am, you just assaulted a police officer." Her face went pale, then flushed crimson. She tried to laugh it off. High-pitched. Manic. "Oh, please. Don't be dramatic. I barely touched you. Everyone saw it. Right? Right?" But no one backed her. The silence cut deeper than any words. The robbers. Long gone. The Hendersons. Shaken but unharmed. And Karen. She had just turned herself into the main criminal on scene. Daniel's jaw tightened. You could almost hear his teeth grind. "Turn around. Hands behind your back. Now." "What? No. I'm the victim," she wailed, flapping her arms like a child throwing a tantrum. She backed away, tripping over her own feet, mascara streaking as tears fought their way out. "You're all against me. This is harassment." Click. The handcuffs snapped shut. Her wail pierced the night. And yet, It wasn't over. Not even close. Because as she sat cuffed against the cruiser, something else came spilling out. A secret. A twist nobody saw coming. "Don't you know who I am?" she hissed, wild-eyed, leaning forward with venom. "I've been on the neighborhood board for years. I've had officers fired for less. You'll regret this." The crowd recoiled. Someone whispered, "She's threatening him," while cuffed. Daniels didn't flinch. He bent down, his voice low, steady, unshakable. "Lady, you just turned a robbery into a felony charge against yourself. You assaulted a cop. No board, no connection, no phone call is saving you now." Her scream fractured the night. It wasn't anger anymore. It was fear. Real, bone-deep fear. And for the first time, maybe ever, Karen realized she wasn't in control. The Henderson kids peeked from behind their mother's legs, whispering, "Is she going to jail?" "Mrs. Lopez answered softly, "Yes, Mia." Finally. The sound of the cruiser door slamming shut was final, echoing like a gavel. Karen's head thudded back against the glass. For once, her voice failed her. Just ragged breathing, sobs and the whir of the siren as the car pulled away. But the fallout, it was only beginning. The story spread, first through the neighborhood, then online, then the evening news. Headlines blared. Suburban woman claims robbery victim. Attacks officer instead. Videos from smartphones went viral. Karen shoving the cop. Karen screaming about her rights. Karen's face pressed against the cruiser window. The internet feasted. And the charges. Felony assault on a peace officer. False claim of property. Interference with law enforcement. Her homeowners association board seat. Stripped. Her reputation. Burned to ash. 1 week later, neighbors walked past her house with a strange silence. The blinds stayed closed. The driveway empty. The queen bee had fallen and nobody missed the sting. But here's the kicker. The real sting in this twisted saga. The robbers. They were caught 2 towns over. One confessed. And you know what he said? "We almost got away clean, but that lady lost her damn mind and made the cops focus on her instead. Easiest escape we ever had." The irony dripped like poison. Karen hadn't just destroyed herself. She had helped the criminals escape. Justice had a funny way of circling back. And when her trial date rolled around, she shuffled into court in beige jail scrubs. Eyes hollow, lips trembling. No pearls. No designer bag. No power. Just another defendant waiting to hear the verdict. The judge didn't even look amused. "Ms. Karen Thompson, you turned a neighborhood crime into a spectacle. You hindered justice. You endangered lives. And you assaulted an officer in the process. This court finds you guilty." Her gasp echoed through the chamber. A broken, pathetic sound, like glass shattering under a heavy boot. The gavel came down. The sentence was real. And Karen, she was left with nothing but the bitter taste of her own downfall. How's that for karma? How's that for a twist? Because in the end, it wasn't the robbers who wrecked her life. It was herself. And the neighbors. They never forgot. The silence of that street at night carried a memory. Sharp and permanent. Of the night Karen went too far and lost everything. If you felt the fire of this story, don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments and hit subscribe to our YouTube channel for more jaw-dropping tales of karma and justice. I knew something was wrong the moment I saw the black SUV idling at the end of my driveway. Too clean. Too quiet. And the 3 men inside didn't look like they were here to sell cookies. My gut twisted. What the hell does the homeowners association think they're doing now? I'd been at war with them for months over a bogus architectural violation. They claimed I owed $18,000 for. Total fraud. They'd even slipped a forged signature onto a document to make it look like I'd agreed to the find me own name. Copied from a check I wrote 2 years ago. I had the proof. My lawyer was already preparing the lawsuit. But apparently, someone on the board thought intimidation would be faster. The SUV's engine cut off, and the doors opened in perfect sync. 3 big guys in black jackets stepped out, moving like they'd rehearsed this. Not neighbors. Not even locals. From the look of them, the tallest one smirked, cracked his knuckles, and started up the driveway. I took a deep breath, my heart thudding in my ears. Well, this is gonna be fun, I muttered, and reached for my phone not to call 911, but to send a single text. They're here. From the back of my property. 2 figures emerged broad-shouldered, calm, and carrying the kind of presence you can't fake. Jack and Torres. Former Marines. Old friends of mine who'd been staying the week after a reunion. They'd seen combat. This was going to be different. The lead thug stopped halfway up the driveway, sizing them up. "We just want to talk," he called out, fake friendly, his voice carrying that greasy undertone of a lie. "Yeah. Then lose the attitude and step back off my land." Jack shot back, his voice like gravel under boots. The smallest of the 3 men snorted. "We've been sent to deliver a message from the Homeowners Association board. You're making things difficult. They'd like it if you stopped." I laughed. Couldn't help it. "You mean they'd like it if I stopped exposing their fraud?" My voice cracked, part rage, part disbelief. "Tell them the next message they're getting is from my lawyer." The thug took a step closer. "Bad move." Torres shifted his weight. Just a subtle change. But the guy froze. Marines have a way of looking at someone like they're already measuring the coffin. The tall one raised his hands, pretending to be reasonable. "No need to make this ugly. You brought 3 guys to my home. It's already ugly." I cut in. He smirked. "You think your little friends scare us?" That's when Jack chuckled. "Buddy, we're not here to scare you. We're here to keep you from doing something real stupid." The air got heavy, thick with unspoken tension. Even the birds went quiet. Then the smallest thug made the mistake of pulling something shiny from his pocket. Torres moved like lightning. His hand snapped out, grabbed the guy's wrist, and twisted. The metallic clink of a folding knife hitting the driveway sounded way too loud. "What the hell?" The thug yelped, doubling over. Jack stepped in, his voice low but lethal. "That's assault with a deadly weapon on private property. You really want to add that to your record?" The tall one started backing away, glancing toward the SUV. We were just told to send a message." "Okay. Yeah. Well, here's ours," I said, pulling out my phone and hitting record. "You just threatened me with a weapon. On camera. In front of 2 witnesses who served this country. And you admitted the Homeowners Association sent you." His face drained of color. "We didn't. Save it for the judge." Jack pulled out his own phone. Dialing. "Sheriff. Yeah. We've got 3 trespassers with a weapon. Sending you the video now." The smallest one hissed at the others. "We gotta go." But the SUV's engine wasn't turning over. Torres had already stepped behind it, phone in hand, calmly snapping pictures of their plates. Minutes later, the sound of sirens sliced through the air. The thugs shifted like trapped animals, but none of them dared run. When the deputies arrived, they didn't waste time with small talk. Hands behind backs, cuffs clicking shut. One of the officers looked at Jack and Torres with a raised brow. "You boys handle this." Jack shrugged. "They made bad life choices." As the SUV was towed away and the thugs stuffed into the back of the patrol cars, I caught the look on the tallest one's face. Panic mixed with betrayal. He clearly thought this was going to be easy. What he didn't know, and what made me grin despite the adrenaline still in my veins, was that this was just the beginning. My lawyer was going to love this footage. Not only had the Homeowners Association committed fraud, now they'd sent hired muscle to intimidate me. That's not just a loss-at-hats criminal. And here's the kicker: 2 days later, I learned something that made the whole thing even sweeter. One of the arrested muscle was actually on probation for another HOA-related assault in a neighboring county. Yeah. These guys were repeat players in someone's dirty game. When the story hit the local paper, the board tried to distance themselves, claiming they'd never authorized any physical intimidation. But remember that forged document? The one with my faked signature. Turns out the same handwriting appeared in an internal homeowners association memo about sending someone to talk to me. My lawyer nearly fell out of his chair laughing. The board president, Karen Bennett, queen of smug superiority, called me personally that night. "We can make this go away," she said, her voice sugary sweet but shaking underneath. "Oh, you mean like you tried to make my signature appear on that fake agreement?" I snapped. "Or like you tried to send a message to my front door?" "You're making a mistake," she started. But I cut her off. "No, Karen. You made the mistake. And now, I'm just letting the law handle it." She hung up. That should have been the end. But the board couldn't keep their mouths shut. They started sending emails to the neighborhood, claiming I was unstable, aggressive, and a danger to the community. Big mistake, because now they were stacking up defamation on top of fraud and intimidation. By the end of the week, my lawyer had a file thicker than a phone book. And me, I had 2 Marines who promised they'd be back for the trial, just to watch the board squirm. The trial was scheduled for mid-morning, but Karen strutted into the courthouse like she was arriving for a ribbon cutting. She wore a bright red blazer, the kind of power color she thought made her untouchable, and that tight smile that screamed, "I still think I'm winning." Her little entourage of board members trailed behind, whispering like high school mean girls. I sat at the plaintiff's table, calm, almost bored. Jack and Torres were already there, pressed suits, looking like they could break the bench in half if they leaned too hard. My lawyer leaned over. "She doesn't know we have the memo yet." The memo, that precious internal homeowners association email, recovered through a subpoena, where Karen herself had typed, "If legal threats don't work, send over some of Mark's guys to have a chat." Right there, in black and white, with a timestamp that matched the day the SUV showed up. And yes, Mark's guys turned out to be our 3 friends in cuffs. The judge called us to order, and Karen launched into her performance-teary voice. Head shakes. Claims that she'd been harassed by me for months. The board members nodded solemnly like they were watching a tragic play. Then my lawyer stood, his voice steady. "Your Honor, the defense would like to review this exhibit." He held up a printed copy of the memo. The big, bold header reading, "Confidential Homeowners Association Board Discussion." Karen's face went pale. She tried to object, but the judge waved her down. "You'll have your turn. Ms. Bennett, sit." The moment the memo was read aloud, you could feel the air change. The courtroom gallery leaned in. Even the bailiff's eyebrows went up. And then came the forged document side-by-side comparison of my genuine signature and the copy-paste fake they'd used to justify the fine. The handwriting expert didn't just testify, it felt like they buried her case 6 feet under right there. Karen's voice got higher, faster, more desperate. She blamed a rogue board member, claimed she didn't know about the forged signature, and that the chat meant a friendly conversation. The judge didn't buy a word of it. By the end of the day, not only did I win the case, but the Homeowners Association was ordered to pay damages, legal fees, and most satisfying of all, was placed under temporary receivership while the fraud investigation moved forward. Karen. She was removed as president effective immediately. The last I saw of her that day, she was standing outside the courthouse, phone pressed to her ear, pacing like a trapped animal. The red blazer didn't look so powerful, no, it looked like a warning flag that the bull had finally caught her. And me. I walked out with my Marines at my side, the lawsuit in my favor, and the sweet knowledge that she'd brought this downfall on herself. If you want more real-life homeowners association justice stories that end with fraudsters getting crushed in court, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next lawsuit takedown. You ever see someone do something so ridiculous, so brazen, that your brain just stalls? Like a bad Wi-Fi connection? That's exactly how I felt watching this hoakaren slap a neon orange violation sticker on a blacked-out SUV while it was parked at a gas station. Public gas station. I blinked. She's not actually doing that, is she? But oh, she was. This wasn't just a one-off incident either. Our HOA president, Ms. Judith K. Renshaw, self-appointed guardian of all things beige and lifeless, had started expanding her imaginary authority off-property. Yeah, you heard that right. At first, she started small, issuing phony warnings to people parked near the community entrance. Then she escalated. Soon, random cars at the grocery store, the public library, even the local dog park all got tagged with her hideous, fake violation stickers. It was embarrassing. But nothing prepared her for the day she tried it on the wrong vehicle. I was across the street at a donut truck, waiting for my glazed twist and watching her from a safe distance. The gas station was busy, cars in and out, horns, the occasional whoosh of tires on hot pavement. Typical summer chaos. And there she was, short bob, sun visor, clipboard from hell. She stalked the rows like a parking enforcer from a post-apocalyptic HOA. Her mouth was set in a grim line like she was doing God's work. Then came the SUV. Big, black, clean. No plates in the front, just a small police decal on the windshield. Unmarked, but not unrecognizable. She squinted, hesitated, then scribbled on her fake carbon copy ticket pad, God knows where she got those, and slapped the sticker right on the tinted driver's side window. I dropped my donut. My heart actually did a weird lurch. I wanted to shout across the street, "Don't do it, Judith!" But it was too late, because not 2 minutes later, the driver stepped out. And oh boy, 6'2", built like a linebacker, shades on, badge clearly clipped to his belt now that he wasn't in the vehicle. The off-duty state trooper lane, as I would come to know later, looked down at the sticker, then up at Judith like she'd just personally keyed his mother's name into his paint job. "What the hell is this?" he asked. Calm. Deadly calm. Judith didn't flinch. "This is a private property violation. You're not permitted to park here without an HOA-approved decal." He blinked once. Slowly. "Ma'am, this is a chevron. On a state-maintained road." She sniffed. "Our jurisdiction extends to visual consistency in adjacent commercial spaces. It's in the amended guidelines." My jaw dropped. Was she quoting fake bylaws now? She was. She really was. Trooper Lane's lip twitched, not with amusement. "You forged a violation and placed it on a government-owned vehicle. You got ID on you." That's when she should have backed off. Apologized. Played the confused elderly neighbor. But no. Not hoakaren. She scoffed. "I'm not required to show anything. You're off duty. You can't arrest me." Now that was a mistake. Because even off duty, a state trooper is still a state trooper, and obstruction, forgery, and impersonating a municipal authority. Yeah, those don't go over well. He slowly reached into his back pocket, pulled out his phone, and started recording. Calm voice, steady hand. "Ma'am, for the record, you are placing unauthorized citations on private vehicles, including my department-issued SUV. This is being documented." Judith flinched at the word documented. Her visor trembled. "I'm simply enforcing community standards. On state property?" He cut in. She started to argue again, but this time, a voice interrupted from behind me. "Is that the sticker lady?" Someone muttered. Turns out, I wasn't the only one watching. A crowd had begun to gather. At least 5 people stepped closer, phones raised. "She tagged my car last week outside the daycare," someone said. "Mine too. At Walgreens," another added. The trooper looked around, suddenly realizing this wasn't a fluke. This was a pattern. "All right," he said, walking toward her slowly. We're gonna have a little talk down at the precinct. What? She barked. This is harassment. I'll have you sued for slander. He pulled out his radio. Dispatch, this is Lane. Need a unit at Ridgeview Chevron. Possible 148. A. Forgery and impersonation of public authority. Judith backed up like he'd pulled a flamethrower. I'm calling my lawyer. This is fraudulent. You're the one committing abuse of power. Now that word fraudulent, it bounced around the air like irony echoing off brick walls. Because just 3 months earlier, she'd been caught forging a resident vote to extend her HOA term another year. She literally scribbled over signatures on a ballot sheet with glitter pen. I'm not even joking. People knew. But she buried it under paperwork and threats. That day at the gas station, she couldn't bury this. The cruiser pulled in fast. Lights off, but the energy was tense. An officer stepped out, nodded at Trooper Lane, then turned to Judith. Ma'am, we've received multiple complaints about unauthorized citations being issued in non-HOA areas. We'd like you to come with us for questioning. Questioning? You're not serious. This is just a misunderstanding. The officer calmly pulled out zip ties. Not cuffs, zip ties. The kind they use when someone's not considered a high-level threat but still enough of a problem that they shouldn't run. And she screamed, I am the president of Ridgeview Heights. She howled as the officer gently guided her to the back seat. This is a civil rights violation. I know the mayor. From behind the glass, you could still hear her ranting as the door closed. The trooper turned to us, removed his sunglasses, and said with a smirk, Well, that was fun. We clapped. I'm not even ashamed. It was spontaneous. Beautiful. The karma we all dreamed of. But oh, it didn't stop there. 2 days later, she was officially suspended by the HOA board, a temporary move, while the incident was investigated. But a week after that, someone leaked the body cam footage online. It went viral, not just for the arrest but because Trooper Lane, a total deadpan hero, narrated the entire clip like a documentary. This particular HOA predator, he said, as the video showed her slapping stickers on windshields, appears to have confused municipal property with her personal kingdom. The line became a meme. I bought the t-shirt, and then came the lawsuit. Several residents, me included, teamed up to file a class-action civil suit for harassment, unauthorized data collection. She kept logs of where we parked, and impersonating a city official. And remember the fake ballot vote? Yeah, we brought that up too. With receipts. Her defense? I was only trying to beautify the community. Beautify? With forged fines and public meltdowns? The judge didn't buy a word of it. When the civil suit finally made it to court, the evidence was stacked like a Jenga tower made of legal bricks. Surveillance videos, photos of fake citations, witness testimony, and Trooper Lane's now-famous footage were all entered into the record. Judith tried to argue she had verbal approval from a former city councilman who turned out to have died 3 years ago. I wish I were kidding. By week 2 of the trial, even her lawyer looked like he was rethinking his career choices. The ruling? Brutal. The judge declared her actions as deliberate, malicious, and bordering on public fraud. She was found liable for civil harassment, forgery, and impersonation of authority. The HOA was ordered to pay damages to over 20 residents, and Judith personally faced a $60,000 judgment. She cried in court, the ugly kind of crying, like she couldn't believe her little stickers had led to this. But karma wasn't done, because the judge also ordered a forensic audit of Ridgeview Heights HOA, and what they found made jaws drop. Turns out, Judith had been funneling HOA funds to pay for administrative costs, like catered luncheons, spa receipts, and even a rental car she used to stalk residents. That kicked off a second lawsuit, this time for embezzlement. Her assets were frozen within 72 hours. Her home? Under lien. Her reputation? Ashes. Within a month, she disappeared from the neighborhood entirely. One day there was a for sale sign on her lawn. The next it was empty. No goodbye note. No remorse. Just gone. The The same woman who once threatened to fine me for leaving my garbage bin out 20 minutes too long, now the centerpiece of a multi-lawsuit HOA meltdown. You know what the best part was? The new HOA board voted to remove all fake citations from community records and issued a formal apology signed, notarized, and framed in the community hall. They also put in new bylaws requiring any enforcement action to be reviewed by actual legal counsel. As for Trooper Lane, he got a commendation and a year's worth of free gas from the station where it all started. The owner said it was the least he could do. Me? I got my donut that day cold, but it still tasted like justice. Funny how a $3 sticker turned into a full-blown lawsuit and a career-ending lesson in what happens when a Karen flies too close to the law. Want more true HOA drama with wild comebacks, legal twists, and satisfying takedowns? Subscribe to the channel because this lawsuit was just the beginning.